Hello, students. Today we are going to explore a very beautiful and touching story from your Beehive textbook. It's called The Little Girl, and it's written by the wonderful author Catherine Mansfield. This is a story that I think might make you see your own family in a slightly different way. You know, at its core, this story is about something we all go through. It's about how our feelings about someone, especially our parents, can change completely as we grow up and start to understand them more. It's a journey from seeing someone as a scary giant to finally seeing the big heart they have inside. Now, before we dive in, I want to tell you, this story is a little different. It's not full of action or big adventures. Instead, it's a journey into the mind and heart of a little girl named Kezia. We're going to be exploring her feelings, her fears, and her thoughts. It's all about her inner world. So here is our roadmap for today's lesson. We will first enter Kezia's world of fear. Then we will look at a very important event, the birthday gift mistake. After that, we'll see how she learns about different kinds of fathers. And then we'll reach the emotional turning point of the story. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with an understanding and a recap for your exams. So let's begin. Okay, so our story starts with a very clear problem. We meet a little girl, Kezia, who is really truly afraid of her own father. So the big question is, why? Why was she so afraid? Let's find out. This one sentence, right from the beginning of the text, tells us everything we need to know. For Kezia, her father is not a person she can run to for a hug. He is someone to be scared of, someone to stay away from. This is the foundation of their relationship at the start. Let's just look at their daily routine. It's so cold and formal, isn't it? In the morning, he gives her a quick kiss, and the only thing she feels is relief when he leaves for work. In the evening, she hears his loud voice, and she has to slowly, nervously, creep downstairs to take off his boots. And even on Sunday, when families are supposed to be together, he is just sleeping on the sofa, snoring. He is completely unapproachable. There is no warmth, no fun, just distance. And it wasn't just his behavior. To a small child like Kezia, her father's physical size was also very frightening. The story mentions his big hands, his big neck, and especially the way his mouth opened wide when he yawned. Just imagine that from a child's point of view. It's not surprising she thought of him as a giant. Let's just pause for a moment to understand this. You see, children need to feel loved and safe. They need warmth and reassurance. So when a parent is very strict or very quiet and doesn't show their love with hugs or kind words, a child can get scared. They don't understand that their parent might just be tired from work, or maybe that's just their nature. For Kezia, she has her grandmother, who is very loving, but her father's coldness creates this constant fear. All right, so this fear that Kezia feels, it all leads up to a very important incident. An incident where Kezia tries to do something very sweet for her father, but it all goes very, very wrong because of a misunderstanding. Let's go through this step by step. Her grandmother gives her a lovely idea to make a pincushion, so Kezia works very hard. She stitches 3 sides of the cushion, but then she needs something to fill it with. She looks around, and on her mother's table, she finds some nice, fine paper. Thinking it's just waste paper, she tears it into tiny pieces and carefully stuffs her cushion. She had no idea, absolutely no idea, that those papers were her father's very important speech. You see, it was a complete accident, and it came from a place of love. And of course, when her father cannot find his speech, the book says there was a hue and cry in the house. This is an old phrase that just means there was a lot of loud, angry shouting and searching. You can just imagine how scary that must have been for a little girl. And this, for me, is the most heartbreaking part of the story. When her father finally confronts her, she is so frightened that she starts to stammer. She can barely speak, and she tries to explain that she did it for his birthday. She was making a gift. But in his anger, he is just not listening. So, her father punishes her. He hits her little palms with a ruler. But more than the physical pain, it is the emotional pain, the injustice that stays with her. Her fear of him becomes even deeper. And after that day, whenever she would see her father, she would put her hands behind her back. It's like her body remembered the fear and the pain. It shows how deeply such events can affect a child. Now, sometime after this terrible incident, Kezia sees something that opens her eyes. She gets a peek into a different kind of family, a different kind of father, and it makes her think.
So one evening, she looks through a gap in the fence into her neighbor's garden, and she sees Mr. McDonald with his 5 children. And look at the difference. Mr. McDonald is laughing, playing tag. The children are climbing all over him. He's not a scary giant. He's like a friend to them. And when Kezia compares this joyful scene with her own silent, stern father, she starts to understand something very important. And this is a big moment for her. It's a moment of realization. She understands that not all fathers are like hers. There are different kinds of fathers in the world. Her father is one kind, and Mr. McDonald is another. This simple thought opens up her mind and prepares her for the final change in her feelings.
Okay, everyone, we have now come to the most important part of the story, the emotional climax. One night, something happens that changes Kezia's relationship with her father forever.
So one night, Kezia's mother is unwell and her grandmother has gone with her to the hospital. Kezia is alone with the cook, and she has the same old nightmare she often gets, a scary butcher with a knife. She wakes up screaming, shivering with fear, and she calls out for the one person who always comforts her, her granny. But her grandmother is not there. Instead, her father comes into her room. And he doesn't shout at her for waking him up. He sees how scared she is. He gently picks her up in his arms, carries her to his big bedroom, and tucks her into bed with him. He even tells her to rub her cold feet against his legs to get warm. In this one moment, he is not a giant. He is a protector. And as she snuggles close to him, holding onto his shirt, something amazing happens. For the very first time in her life, she feels safe with her father. The fear of the dark, the fear of the nightmare, it all just melts away. This one act of kindness, this unexpected comfort, completely breaks down the wall of fear she had built around him. This single moment of comfort completely changes Kezia's perspective. It leads her to a new, deeper understanding of her father. So let's look at her final thoughts, and then we will recap the whole story. Lying there next to him, half asleep, Kezia finally understands. She realizes her father isn't a giant after all. He is just a man who has to work very, very hard every day. He gets so tired that he has no energy left to play like Mr. McDonald. For the first time, she feels empathy for him. She thinks, poor father, with no one to look after him. And as she rests her head on his chest, she can hear his heart beating. And in that moment, she realizes he has a big heart, a loving heart. It was just hidden under all his tiredness and responsibilities. All right, so for your exam, let's just go over the key points. The main theme of the story is this journey from fear to understanding, and the idea that sometimes love is hidden and not always shown openly. Kezia's character is that of a sensitive, innocent child whose understanding changes completely. Her father is not a bad person, he is just a hard-working man who doesn't know how to show his affection. And finally, the title, The Little Girl, is perfect because the entire story is told through her eyes. It's her journey of emotional growth. And that brings us to the end. This story leaves us with something to think about in our own lives. You know, as we grow older, we often start to see our parents not just as parents, but as people, with their own worries and tiredness. So just think about it for a moment. Has your own understanding of your parents changed over time?